All right, welcome back to the Smash Cut podcast. I'm Matt Grayson. This is Blake Hammer, first time live in the studio together.
Yep.
Blake, take it away with the 3 sentence summary.
Well, cheers to that, Matt. So, in this movie, Joe and Jerry are a couple of totally straight pals who have to go on the run in drag after witnessing a mob shooting in Chicago. They end up in Florida with an all girls band and Marilyn Monroe, who brutally frame mugs the entire cast for the 2 hour runtime of the movie. As the band crosses paths with playboys and gangsters, hilarious hijinks ensue in what is the funniest movie of the 50s with a whopping 10 lines worth of chuckle. This is Some Like It Hot.
That was a classic. I do think I got maybe more than 10 out of this movie, but it definitely wasn't a lot more than 10. And as I'm sure we'll get into later, this movie is glazed to high hell. So I really don't understand. I guess maybe it's for the time it was great.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things, and I see this sometimes on TV. I guess Seinfeld is the best comparison I can make for it, where it's the first show to do so many things, so it's given a lot of credit. But then there are other shows. I mean, even Larry David, I think Curb on an episode over episode basis is funnier than Seinfeld is. And Seinfeld is generally heralded as the better show, which I don't agree with. So I think this one, it's like, oh, well, it inspired a lot of stuff that was way funnier. But I mean, I would say if we're going pre 90s, which I would say when the modern Hollywood comedy started, this would probably not be in my top five. And I do like this movie. I'll get to my rating later, but I do think that just because it was like one of the first of its time, people treat it like some like unimpeachable masterpiece, and like
Yeah.
a good movie, but there are a lot of flaws that we'll get into. And I mean, to call this movie like the greatest comedy movie ever, to me, is just a ridiculous claim. We watched like a behind the scenes documentary about this movie, and at one point, I believe Jack Lemmon was like, "Yeah, my sides hurt, and they felt like they were going to split open from reading the script because it was so funny." And I just want to know like what drugs Jack Lemmon was on when he said that, because we watched the final product and that was not at all what my reaction to the movie was.
Me neither. Getting to my opening question for the episode, to connect to the previous movie, which was super bad. My question would be, what character from Superbad would you replace Josephine? I believe that's the one that gets with Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
Which Superbad character would you replace with Josephine with?
So I would replace Josephine. I would say probably, I feel like it got to be McLovin. It's got to be McLovin, dude. McLovin would somehow, like, he would hold his own. He would not get frame mogged by Marilyn.
Marilyn and McLovin is a tremendous combo.
Yeah,
I would love
dude.
to see that.
Marilyn McLovin would be her married name, dude. And he'd just keep the moniker of McLovin. But I mean, I think he would probably handle it the best. I feel like Evan would probably like being in drag a little bit too much. And I feel like Seth would, that character just could not work in this movie because he would probably say 5 to 10 things that would make this movie unairable in movie theaters within the first 10 minutes of screen time. So it's got to be McLovin.
And we're back. A little technical snafu there we fixed, but getting right into the intro of the movie, which it is an old movie, which means it starts with the credits.
Oh yeah.
I thought that the font that they used is sort of a weird thing to point out, but the like wacky font they used feels like such an old
I
comedy
wrote
movie
that down
trope.
too. And before I talk a little more about the font, just so the audience knows, we are the Smashed Cut podcast. So because we're finally doing a live episode, every live episode we will be getting smashed. Matt and myself will each be drinking a 6-pack throughout the course of the episode. I will be drinking Corona. Please sponsor the video. And Matt will be drinking Angry Orchards.
Once again, we will accept sponsorship payments in check form or Venmo as well. You know,
Yeah.
whatever these companies want to send us. Clearly, we're bringing in an audience here.
Fuck it, I'll accept Cash App. Hey, Cash App, you're listening to that, it's because it's one of my favorite platforms. Please sponsor us. And Corona is the world's best tasting beer.
Yep. All right. Well, anyway,
so I felt like the main credits were kind of Rocky and Bullwinkle-esque. That's what I wrote down. A little Dudley Do-Right kind of action on those. It was an old movie trope to just start with the credits. And another old movie trope is, I think about the first 2 minutes of the movie, It's just like scenic views of like guys arriving at like the fake speakeasy. There's not a single line of dialogue.
Yeah, it takes a little bit to get to anybody, and I don't know if that was a trope or if that was just a purposeful choice on their part.
Yeah.
Um, Although based on the behind the scenes stuff, I also can imagine that there was uh, maybe one of the reasons for that is that they just wanted to be able to film something that didn't require Marilyn Monroe. Because that, there were several scenes that are basically only in the movie because they had to figure out to do something
Yeah.
without Marilyn Monroe present. And I do remember when we were watching it, one of the producers, I think, was Adolf Dutch or Deutsche, who Blake saw pop up and saw, oh, look, it's Adolf Douche.
Yeah, yeah. One thing I also noticed in the opening scene of the movie was I don't know if this was just the actors they cast for the scene or just the 50s in general, but pretty much everyone in the opening scene until we see the two leads is incredibly ugly.
Yeah,
They all look, I don't know what their actual ages were at the time of production. I guarantee you, if we guessed their ages, we would be guessing 10 to 20 years higher than the actors actually were.
Yeah, I would have assumed those guys were at least in their 50s.
The big nose goon, who I thought was in his 70s on his deathbed,
He's in his 70s? He didn't look that fucking.
He was 44.
Okay, that sounds actually, that's about, I would have given him 44 to 54. So that
I would have guessed mid 60s youngest. But that's just an example. I mean, so anyway, the opening of the film, there's a group of ne'er-do-wellers, and they're pulling up to what they are claiming is a funeral parlor, although they get in the shootout right before, and we can see it's actually a Prohibition era speakeasy because this film is set in 1929.
Yep, yeah, and the gunfight was hilarious for two reasons. One, there was seemingly no reason for it. The cops just started blasting at him.
And the cops waited and just went in.
Like, so anyway, I started blasting, and then just don't hit anything. And then also, them hanging out of the car doing it really highlights how this high speed car chase was probably going like 22 miles an hour. Like every time there was a car in this movie supposed to be like a quick chase, they sped up the frame rate to make it look quicker.
Yeah.
But just by the way that they were moving around cars and hanging onto them, it's so clear that they're going like maximum 25 miles an hour.
The same thing I think happens with some of the on foot chase sequences. I'm particularly thinking of like when the gangsters are chasing them around the hotel. I think they sped that footage up like 2 to 3 times. It looks like they're moving at like a jogging rate, and then they just kind of seem to like float up the stairs. It looked very unnatural.
Well, also that transition, I mean, we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit here, but on that note, the transition of them running up the stairs and then without cutting, pans to the elevator coming down, and they get off in full drag when they were not in that a second ago. Yeah. I'd have to rewatch it. I assume the shot of them running is just two stand-ins, but whoever they were, they did a good job because I couldn't tell.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to where we were in the beginning of the movie. We got the bootlegging with the boys. I was a big fan of that. I like how the hearse is full of all the alcohol, and they're going to the funeral parlor. And I love how every character sticks with the bit. Like they'll be like, "Oh, like what are you doing in my funeral home?" And it's like, "Oh, lost a loved one. Like where are the obituary?" Like I don't know. They're all using like funeral related terms.
Pallbearers,
yeah, or like say you're a pallbearer or something like that to get in the VIP room. Yeah. Like I thought all that was cool. Speakeasies in general, I feel like are sort of a lost art. I went to one in Spain actually, where like you would have to sign up online. It was called Jack's Library, another place you could sponsor us. But basically, you would sign up for it online, and it literally like the website was like a library website.
Yeah.
But if you signed up for the email list and selected a time, they would email you a code, like a number, and then you would show up to this place. This is where it got a little confusing for me because it wasn't a library. It was like a plant store, like bonsai trees and shit. Okay. And you would go up and tell the guy you're here for your appointment, and he'd point to a door, and you'd move like a book out of the way, and there'd be a keypad, and you'd put in the code from your email, and the mirror that's on the wall opens. And it was literally like you'd go in, it was literally like an old style, the inside is where all the books were, and like an old style bar, and everyone, and like all the bartenders are in tuxes. It was so sick. I think we should bring those back. Definitely not Prohibition, but
Yeah, I mean, I think easy right can be cool, but I've seen many cringeworthy attempts in like New York City or other locales.
There's one here that calls itself a speakeasy, but it's literally just a shitty bar.
Yeah, I think speakeasies work as an occasional gimmick, but I don't think there should be more than 2 or 3 of them in any given town. Man,
I would just say one, but
you could have a couple different gimmicks. Maybe we have a flower shop. Maybe we have a funeral parlor. Maybe we have a library, post office, perhaps. But once we start repeating gimmicks, it's like, all right, like I think we saturate the market a little bit there. But anyway, one of as I mentioned, the henchman who I'll just be referring to as Big Nose from here on out. He was officially credited as whatever that guy's name was, Stabs.
That was his like character name in the movie.
Stabs his henchman.
Oh, or Snaps or Stop. It was something with like a shoe, like some article of clothing that no one wears anymore.
I am completely blanking on this, and this is bothering me. Let's see what it actually is. Spats is henchman. And maybe this is just me being a dumbass, but I feel generally when I watch black and white movies that I have a more difficult time telling which character is which, especially when it's men around a similar age who I'm not familiar with the actor. So this movie, I actually was able to tell the difference between Joe and Jerry, the two heroes, but I was 5 or 6 scenes into the movie before I was confident who was doing what.
Yeah, I mean, with the goons, I feel like Big Nose is such a
Big Nose stood out, but the other 4 you could have said, yeah, whoever. Big Nose, anyway, credit as Spats as henchman, was a guy who basically, I assume he had, if not the same disease, the same voice issue that Andre the Giant did, because they eerily similar sounding voices, although he did not have the height.
No, not at all. He was like a regular sized person.
Yeah.
Sounded developmentally disabled.
He sounded and looked developmentally disabled,
Which is
but
weird.
He was not developmentally disabled, so it's okay to laugh.
Well, also, Andre the Giant, the voice thing makes sense because he's fucking huge.
Yeah.
So his voice being like this, like, and didn't speak English natively.
Yeah.
So that makes sense. But this guy, as far as I could tell, is a regular sized American dude who just is chopped.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, that was me.
And again, I don't know if people have just gotten better looking over time, but like, I would like,
they definitely have.
turn and stop and look at a guy like that on the street. Like, he's comically ugly.
Just stare at him in the street.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't like stop and like Google at him, but like I would take notice that I saw something.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that. I would take notice of that. And his first line, they come up to him and they're like, "What are you drinking?" He goes, "Mother's milk."
It's crazy. The first line, dude. I think one of, if not the first joke, or at least that I picked up on, because it's running
a lot of unfunny jokes.
There's also just a lot of jokes in this movie that I'm sure we didn't pick up on because they're sort of specific to the time period.
Yeah.
But
it might shock you guys, but neither of us were alive in the 50s.
Yeah.
I know we have a mature presence.
Exactly. But. Yeah, but the Charlie guy, I don't even know what his like deal was, but the officers who were coming to raid the funeral parlor are talking to him, and they're like, yeah, like, get us an inn or something. And he's like, well, if they catch me, it'll be goodbye, Charlie. And then the officer's like, oh, goodbye, Charlie. And I was like, oh, got him. And it reminded me of The Naked Gun. Like, I'm now realizing a lot of the comedy of The Naked Gun is just sort of a more extreme version of what actual comedies were in this time period.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I think that's where it gets a lot of credit, is like this. There are elements of this movie that are indirect spoofs of things, and then there are characters that are very clearly stand-ins for actual people. The character of Spats is very clearly Al Capone. And I bet at the time it was like, oh, that's someone who's real. And then one joke that I did not find funny at all, because I wasn't born in 1922, was so Joe and Jerry, one of their opening exchanges, I believe Jerry's trying to talk Joe into one of the dogs at the dog track being like a sure bet. And he's like, well, if he loses, then I bet the stock market will crash. The Dodgers will move out of Brooklyn, and Douglas Fairbanks and whoever, I don't remember the actress's name, will get divorced, or Mary Pickford will get divorced. And apparently that was funny because I knew about the first two, but all three of those things happened in real life. Yeah, the Dodgers. Yeah, that because 29 was the year of the Great Depression. Oh yeah. And then the actor and actress I was not aware of because I don't watch movies that don't have sound. So yeah, that one was no, not a Buster Keaton stand, but I will say that's a joke that I feel like would have been hilarious to the contemporary audience and aged like milk.
Well, also in that scene, I did write down like for this time period, like betting on the dog track. Like,
yeah,
where were they supposed to be?
Chicago.
Okay, yeah. So like now, like there's already basically no dog tracks left in America, let alone at that time period, like a major city like Chicago having a dog track, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, you just imagine how strange that. Like, you pull up to Philadelphia and they're like, "Yo, you want to go to the Philly dog track?"
Yeah,
like,
that's crazy.
Right next to the Liberty Bell, dude.
Welcome to the Miami dog track. Like, that would be nuts, man. I think the only remaining dog tracks are in like Bumblefuck,
like Virginia. I think the last one was in Virginia.
Oh damn! But yeah,
Sonny just did an episode on it.
Really?
Yeah, and there's like a great bit where they're talking to the dog trainer, and he's like, "Yeah, they're closing this place down. They're not going to have dog tracks here anymore. They're not going to have dog tracks in America anymore."
Damn, dude.
Yeah, I think that like the one in that episode that they're pretending to be at was like literally the last dog track left in America.
That is very tough.
Which I don't know, compared to horse racing, I feel like
I think dog racing is worse.
Why?
The horses after they, and I might be wrong on this.
They like put them down when they break an ankle, dude.
The horses that survive though, they get to spend the rest of their life living in luxury and fucking random horses. I am pretty sure most of the dogs are euthanized after the horse or the dog race.
I would have just assumed that people like adopted them.
I also do think culturally there's gonna be much more scrutiny around a dog racing than a horse.
True. Also, horse racing is sort of like a rich person leisure activity to watch, whereas dog racing is sort of the exact opposite of that.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of dog racing, I think of mobile homes.
That is what the trainer guy in that episode lived in. Literally right outside the dog track, dude.
What a shock. Anyway, back to the actual movie. So the fellas make a quick escape as the police raid the funeral parlor.
With all the flapper dancers running away.
And again, maybe this is a misreading of things, but I very much read both of these characters as being at the very least bisexual in a gay relationship together, if not outright gay.
That, like, their first conversation might be the straightest conversation in the entire movie that they have. After that, it gets increasingly more homoerotic. I remember we were laughing at the time of just this massive police bust of what amounts to just a regular bar.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so funny to see, like, from that time period, police being like, go, 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 fight! Like, they're shooting guns and shit, like, knocking people over. Yeah. It's like, you're literally arresting these dudes for having, like, 2 shots of whiskey over 4 hours.
Well, the craziest part, too, is not only were they doing that, the bar wasn't even, like, outright serving alcohol. They were putting alcohol in coffee cups, and they were sipping like coffee cups at the table. Like, it just made me think of, like, imagine you went to like Starbucks or something and police came in there and just raided the whole place. So they're like, get rid of this, there's alcohol, there's coffee, and they test it. It's like
there's like a shot of Bailey's in it or something.
There's just a shot of Bailey's in like one person's coffee.
Rum chata is like the ultimate crime, dude. Just spiked the drinks.
So anyway, after the fellas come up with their original genius plan, we got some Einsteins here that they're going to bet the entire paycheck for 3 weeks worth of work on a dog that is 10-1 odds to win.
Which is apparently very bad.
That's pretty poor.
Not much of a sports betting game.
The implied result in that is that dog is projected to win the race 1 out of every 10 times. So they're essentially betting their paycheck on an event that has an implied probability of 10%.
So am I wrong? Aren't good odds in betting odds where you get a higher payout?
So
because it could go either way. Like, good odds could mean that they're likely to win, but it also if they're not likely to win, then the odds are good because if they do, you make more money.
Not to derail this into a sports gambling
Yeah,
discussion,
excuse
but
my ignorance.
the general thought with betting is that you want the implied value of the picks to be as deviated as possible from the actual value. So essentially, if you and no one can accurately predict this, but people have models they use to try to predict things. If you have a model that implies, and this is someone who's actually betting analytically, but if you have a model that implies that an event has a 64% chance of happening and the odds are 2 to 1, so in other words, an implied probability of 50%, then that would be a good bet. But if that same 2 to 1 bet the model showed had a 36% probability of happening, that would be a bad bet. Anyway, that's not really here nor there. I'm going to assume, based on everything I see for the rest of the movie from both these characters, that they were making a foolhardy bet and they show a complete lack of intelligence throughout the movie. So I think that's a pretty safe assumption.
Just straight from the bar getting broken up to the agencies, right? Where there's that bit that we just didn't really. Maybe I wasn't paying enough attention, but that bit where they're like checking every company's door, being like, anything yet? Nope. Anything yet? No. And like each door that I guess at the time was a hoot and a holler.
There was about 30 different gags in this movie, and I didn't write most of them down because some of them I don't think even realized were supposed to be gags. That were just complete swings and misses. And that to me was one of the first, and there might have been a few in the opening scene. I guess that line about the stock market crashing and probably 2 or 3 things they also said were supposed to be funny. Yeah. I did not laugh at that at all. I felt like I think you should leave sketch where he's like, is that supposed to be the joke?
That the stock market will crash? I'm just trying to understand. That Jay Pickenberry is going to get divorced or whoever the fuck they were talking about.
This isn't really a funeral parlor.
This is also where we get the first instance of, I believe it would be Geraldine or Daphne. Sorry,
Daphne is Jerry.
I believe it's him who's flirting with the secretary. It doesn't really matter. One of the guys.
That's what I'm saying.
One of the guys is flirting with the secretary, and this is the first instance where, and this is a recurring bit, where he's flirting with the secretary, and the other dude is like furious, visibly annoyed.
Jerry gets actually angry,
but I don't think that was supposed to be like a plot point. Like I think they didn't realize how, in modern terms, queer coded these interactions were, because every time he's hitting it off with a woman, the other dude is in the background like
furious. And I mean, the 50s, as we learned from the behind the scenes doc, had a very misguided view of what being gay means. They thought that homosexuality was literally a disease that could be spread, which is an insane take. Yeah, imagine like you see someone like sashay and all of a sudden you start doing like the gay mannerisms.
Put on like, you see someone do that and you're like, oh my god, and you put on a COVID mask.
Yeah. Yes, cool. Oh, and put on a COVID mask. So anyways, they essentially hear of a job offer. It's for an all-girls band, 3 weeks in Miami. I would have jumped at that. We're jamming with my boy. We're getting paid to live in Florida, which is my favorite state.
So you're saying that you would dress in drag for 3 weeks?
Well, if I knew Marilyn Monroe was going to be there.
In drag?
Well, it's part of the plan, since I'm a better schemer.
So you're saying that you would dress in drag and find a way to successfully scheme your way into...
Well, see, I would have to know Marilyn Monroe was there, or I would be have to getting paid a lot of money.
Because also the movie, ironically, never even addresses how that scheme worked out for him. Like, he just takes off the wig at the end, and she's like, oh, kiss me.
Yeah. I mean, like, and I think this is more of a product of the time, that this deviates from what we'd see now. If this was a modern Hollywood movie, that scene would have been the penultimate or third to last scene in the movie. Yeah. And we would have gotten another 1 or 2 scenes of like what the resolution for everything is. In the 50s, it was like, oh, he said a funny line, let's end the movie.
Which I think was great. I actually think that the fact that the last line of the movie is probably the one I laughed hardest at. Like, I would agree. I think that's a great strategy and one that is criminally underused.
movie I've watched in that was made within at least the last 50 years where that happened.
Which is a damn shame. I mean, because I think it's you walk out of the theater laughing.
Yeah.
Like that's such a then in your memory, like your memory of the movie is so much higher because the last thing you ever did watching it was laugh.
I mean, the most recent movie I can think of that has an closing scene that I think is the best scene in the movie is Scarface for a very different reason. I can't think of another comedy where I feel like and I do think that is an issue with a lot of modern comedies. It's like they almost like blow their load, so to speak, in the first half of the movie with all their funniest bits and scenes. And then the second half, it's like, oh, I guess we have to tie this together somehow. So I will say, I think generally the first act of this movie was the weakest part of it, which would be incredibly rare nowadays. I also do think that's a functioning of kind of audience attention spans diminishing over time.
Well, also the jokes I think that they put in the first half of this movie were more like pop culture or specific to the time period, whereas like the later ones were just pretty much built upon them being men dressed as women, which like any time period you can recognize that.
A hilarious tale.
Yeah.
So, anyways, they the two guys, they go to pick up the secretary lady, cannot remember her name, her car in a garage. Again, Bob's not details. And they yet again narrowly escape arrest or death by basically hiding poorly behind a car. And then there's one point where the criminals are fully turned around and not looking at them.
They like turn, another guy pulls a gun that they thought was dead. They turn to kill him.
Yeah.
And the two protagonists just stand there, and then at the end of that interaction are like, run away! It's like, dude, what are you do? Go when they turn around. What are you waiting for?
Again, both the protagonists run very slowly, and also they're not quiet at all sneaking out. They could have easily been shot. And I think, and this will come up more later in the movie, but Spatz himself is a terrible criminal. Oh, yeah. He pretty much in almost every scene is doing things that are begging to get caught. He like has a loud shootout, and then after he shoots all the guys, he like lingers around
in like a parking garage.
In a parking garage in the middle of the city during the day. He like lingers around to like, I guess, showboat and kick the toothpick out of the guy's mouth.
Also,
it's like,
it makes it even funnier because that means that the police used the entire police force to raid a small bar, but this dude executed 15 people with machine guns in the middle of town and nobody shows up.
Well, dude, they were all sober, so it's less of a threat to the decency of society.
Dude, based on, what I've seen in real life, that sounds like a DA right there, being like, we're dealing with the real problem.
Yeah, dude.
Small shots of Baileys.
So anyway, from there, the guys freak out. They're like, we gotta flee. Because again, the Spatz and his men literally see them doing this and can see their faces visibly. So their solution is to hide in Florida for 3 weeks and hope he forgets, which, I mean,
I guess would have worked if this movie had like any logical reasoning to it, because spoiler alert, Spatz later shows up at that exact same hotel.
The Italian opera.
And it's like they traveled across the country to a random hotel in Florida, and somehow that's the exact one that the one criminal in Chicago they're running from shows up to. It's like, I think that was sort of an old movie thing where like, what's it called? Suspension of disbelief. Yeah, it's sort of more generous, let's say, at that time period, where like him showing up there, you're not supposed to be like, what are the chances of that happening? You're just supposed to be like, oh no.
I would describe it as the dumbest game of cat and mouse I have ever seen on the big screen. Both the villain and heroes were just comically incompetent at every.
There's a great point where one of the guys is like saying something incoherent or like acting strange, and the dude on the phone, which by the way, old phones are fucking sick. Like the hold the like thing to your ear. Yeah. And talking to the other one, like, that's dope. We got to bring that back. Phones should be like, that should be just all phones so that it's more of an inconvenience and people use them less. But anyway, I digress.
That'll be the next Mark Zuckerberg invention. He'll find a way to do that, except part of the phone is now implanted.
Yeah, charge you $6,000 for each one. But there's a couple of like good one-liner bits that were very time specific. Like one guy saying to the two leads, what are you, a couple of comedians? And it's like, I think as the audience, you're supposed to be like, they are comedians. I get it. And then the other one was when the guy's acting weird, and then the boss is like, "What's with him? He drinks."
Yeah.
It's like, in that time period, being like, did he have a few beers? Like,
Did he have a sip?
it's like the modern equivalent of being like, "Oh, is he on heroin?" But they're like, "Did he have a few beers?"
High on meth or crack?
Yeah. Back then, they'd be like, "Has he had a Budweiser?" Because he's acting all sorts of out of whack.
On the reverse token, things that were not supposed to be in the film that were hilarious in modern times, it was 40 cents for a full tank of gas. That was preposterous. Really? Yes. They were like, fill her up, and there'll be that. And the guy says to them, that'll be 40 cents.
It's even more crazy because there's a part where he says, "Give me a nickel," and he puts it in for the phone, like a public phone. That means that like a decent percent, like what is that? Like think of what does a tank of gas cost right now? Like
about $40.
$40. What is a nickel to 40 cents? That's five.
1/8, so about $5.
Yeah, like imagine $5 for a phone call. Booth. That's kind of crazy,
dude.
Why the hell is gas 40 cents, but a phone call is $5 in modern terms? That's insane.
The other thing that was crazy was the gig they originally planned on going to before they pivot to Florida was at the University of Illinois, and they were going to get paid $6 each for the work.
Oh, for one night.
Yeah.
That actually sounds pretty good back then. So, Isn't that like 60? Oh, I guess, yeah.
I mean, I just multiply it by 100, my rough conversion. So about $600 for a night's worth of work. That's pretty good. $600 for a night? Yeah, because think about it, 40 cents, $40.
That's huge, dude.
That might just be inflation.
They're not like big stars. That's good money. Like I feel like stand-up comics get like $25 to appear at like an open mic or something.
Well, the ones who can't move tickets.
All right. Well, moving past. So basically, they decide that they have no other recourse for some reason, but to take the job of the all women's band role.
They couldn't just drive out of town. That wasn't an option.
Well, that would be ridiculous.
Yeah,
he would magically show up.
Yeah, or if we just literally spent like $1 for a bus fare, that would be too much.
I wrote on the gas thing that when he asked like, "You want some gas?" like. It sounded like I don't know if it was, but it sounded like an old-timey joke. Like, it sounded like he was asking him in a way where the audience back then would be like, oh, like he was asking for a drink or something, but it was actually gasoline. I don't know. I wrote that down. There was a lot of stuff in this movie that I could not tell.
I might understand boomer humor, but I couldn't tell if half the lines were supposed to be jokes or not, which not really what you want out of your number one comedy of all time. I'm just saying, BBC.
Yeah, there's also every time, because after this there's some shots of like the mob guy killing Charlie. That you get the comedy in threes of the Goodbye Charlie for the final time.
Yeah, he kicks the toothpick out of his mouth.
Yeah, and then shoots him and says the Goodbye Charlie. Every time someone is shot in this movie, it'll show a guy shooting a gun and then cut to another guy laying still with blood on him.
Yeah.
And I was like, you really couldn't have just had a move or something? Like, they're like, no, that's too violent.
I mean, I will cut the movie a lot of slack for this because it is the 50s, but it does not look like at any point that anybody is getting shot or even shooting their weapon. It's like they press the trigger and there's a clear delay between that happening and the movie actually showing like the person getting shot, or they'll just show flashing lights and then everyone.
Yeah, there was one where there was flashing lights and the guy going like this.
There were two. Oh, okay. The Italian gunman and the cake, and then that scene.
Okay, yeah. And then so they accept the job, and then we get our first scene of the two leads in drag.
Yeah.
One of which, the guy that I'm like 100% convinced is gay.
Tony Curtis.
Yeah. I don't remember their real names, but
Tony
he's the one who did
Jack
like
Lemmon.
the pursed lips. Like, he pulled off being a woman way better than the other guy.
Well, dude, it's actually funny you say that. So a bit of behind the scenes trivia, not to jump ahead, because this movie, because it is so old and everyone associated with it is dead, every single juicy tidbit of behind the scenes gossip has been revealed, and we will have a lot to say with those. But he actually was thought to be portrayed the character more femininely by most audience members because he was so nervous to appear in drag because he liked it, that he looked very shy and like reclusive in his mannerisms, whereas his co-star Jack Lemmon, who
Just acted like a
is
guy.
Joe, was having a blast in drag, and apparently, according to IMDb, ran out of his dressing room like Mary Queen of Scots and was having an awesome time. So his mannerisms seem to be modern culture is crazy. Seem to be a lot more feminine. And then the other reason why his character to many appears more feminine, that this will be a topic of conversation later on, is because he was so afraid that he wasn't able to do the woman's voice properly. So they had to have someone come in and dub all his lines so it actually sound like a woman. Whereas, yeah, so Tony Curtis's character, who is Daphne, he was so bad at doing a woman voice. They literally, every time he's speaking as a woman, they had to have someone come in post production and redub all his lines so it actually sounded like a girl.
Dude, it's fucking crazy. I didn't even the fact that I didn't even know. Like, did you notice that while watching the movie? It looked like it was
very good redub.
That's great. Like, I've never seen ADR go over that well.
Yeah.
I feel like it's usually atrocious. And I guess you know what? The sound quality was so bad then for a movie.
It was so
that dubbing one afterward, like you basically could just record the sound in an open room with no sound foam or anything, and it would sound about as good as recording on a live set. That's probably what it is, because sound quality is so good now that when they dub it in like a quiet room afterward, it's very noticeable. Whereas with that, like they were basically just holding a fucking mic up in the air. So if they wanted to dub it, all they had to do was hold a mic in the air and talk at it.
There are several instances in the movie where it sounds like a character across many different scenes and actors is speaking through a tin can to deliver their lines.
So this is also, we get Marilyn Monroe's intro in this movie. And I gotta say, I had never seen Marilyn Monroe outside of photos.
Same.
Like I'd only, basically as a kid, like in modern times, I had no reason to look at a Marilyn Monroe thing.
I had seen the gif of her with her dress above like the grate.
Like a classic. I thought that was like a posed photo. I didn't even know that was from a movie.
Yeah.
But I'd only ever seen like portraits, and I sort of understood like, yeah, she was, the sex symbol from the time, and she was considered really hot. JFK banged her in secret. All these different things.
Every single celebrity from that time period claims they had an affair with her.
And seeing her in real, not in person, but in real life, like talking, first of all, never heard her voice before, so that was crazy. Seeing her like talking and moving, I was like, oh no, I wrote a note to Blake during the viewing. I was like, yeah, she surpasses the hype. I did not realize that she actually is. I thought it was like a for the time kind of thing, but it's like, no, even by today's standards.
And I looked up, I was like, were just every woman then way hotter than I remember? So I looked up like Betty Davis, Joan Crawford, some of the bigger stars of that era, maybe slightly before. Marilyn is on a different
level. I will say, I forget her, I don't know her name, but the lady from Vertigo, the Alfred Hitchcock movie, that lady's Fox. She was a stone cold fox, but
I mean, look, there were hotter ladies then. As I said, I think generally people were uglier. Marilyn Monroe, genuinely in all of her movies, looks like she is an actress from the 70s or 80s, not the 50s. She looks like her wardrobe and just her mannerisms. It's like she is 2 or 3 decades in the future from every single other movie.
I will also say, and this is probably not a good thing, but that men in general, one of the points that probably went towards her is that she sounds like a dumbass.
That was deliberate.
I'm sure back then, was sort of the dumb blonde ideal. I mean, in the movie, she repeatedly says, "I'm not very bright."
And she does things that are not very bright. Yeah.
And it's like, I bet, for men back then, they're like, yeah, I'm the smart one. I'll show you, honey.
Yeah, I mean, they do show some more depth to her character towards the end of the movie, but I will say for the majority of the movie, she is playing her trademark role of being a dumb blonde. And that's something unlike the Kevin Hart and The Rock just playing themselves in every movie, and Mark Wahlberg, who also does that. I do feel like I don't really hold that against her too much, because if you look at the time period she was in, I mean, the head of the studio who she was under contract for, this was still during the time of the studio system, so the head of Fox Studios literally called the actresses who worked for him studio hookers. So just not great guys running things, and the studio deliberately tried to pigeonhole her into dumb blonde roles, and I think some of her acting.
I mean, she knew where her money was coming from. Yeah. I'll say that.
She knew where her bread was buttered. I do think some of her acting elevates these roles, but a lot of her character is very much a product of the time.
I mean, I think the Sydney Sweeney comparison is great. I think they're both competent actors. Nobody, I think, should be winning Oscars or anything, but
wrong.
Very good looking. Know that their sex appeal is a big sell. Like, I respect it. Like, obviously, I don't think that all women should be leaning into that. Like, they should be not being objectified, all this whatnot. But
Tilda Swinton, please do not.
Yeah, please don't. But at the same time, like, if you do know that that's like your selling point, purposefully leading into that, I don't think is a problem. I mean, like, it's not like she's being forced into this. Like, she knows what is making her money. She's profiting off it.
And after the movie yesterday, I did some research. I read her entire Wikipedia page, and she, part of her kind of public persona was intentionally cultivating like the hot, slutty, dumb blonde image. And she even was friends with, which again, much bigger deal at the time than it would be now, but she was friends with multiple gossip columnists. So she was able to kind of be one of the first stars who kind of controlled the press narrative around her. She also was one of the first, I think the first star ever to pose nude at like the height of their career. So she was way ahead of her time on a lot of things. I mean, I'm thinking through movies I know. I do think that she is the hottest of any girl I can think of in a movie, at least up until the 70s.
There's a lot of ass slapping in this movie.
There's a lot of that. A lot of pinching.
Daphne, I think it was, immediately gets their ass slapped by...
That was what they implied
the
it to
train
be.
Conductor. No, like when they're getting...
when they get on the train. I'm thinking of a different scene. That's how much groping there is in this movie.
Marilyn Monroe, the train steam, I'll put a clip in if I can, blasts out to slap her ass, which I didn't know until we watched that thing earlier. She insisted, she was saying she would leave the movie if they didn't redo her opening scene to make it more hot or something. It was already, she looked great walking. I don't know why she felt that the train steam slapping her ass added. So like that was when she was like, okay, this is great. I love this. So I was like, I don't think that added very much. Like, you already looked good. You didn't need train steam making you go, whoa!
She's the kind of girl who knows she's hot and needs to be the center of attention all times. And personally, I love that. Anyway, so
would you want to direct Marilyn Monroe?
I mean,
you got to spend all the time with her, but you'd have to deal with her professionally.
The only way I would agree to direct Marilyn Monroe is if there was a clause that I could drug test her and she would get fired if she was on barbiturates.
So you wouldn't work with her.
So I would not work.
Because that's a no-go for her.
Look, I loved watching her as a viewer. I think she would be an absolute nightmare to work with. I do think just because of what she brought from a box office draw perspective, it is a legitimate debate for any director at the time if they put up with her bullshit, because it does pay off. But I can't imagine it was a pleasant experience for Billy Wilder or most of the other crew members on the set having to work with her.
No, it's probably fucking, I mean, based on everything we've seen, it's probably terrible. But
Jack Lemmon didn't have a problem with it, but pretty much everyone else involved in the movie did.
To push us past this scene, them getting on the train, so I love the lady on the train when they're like with all the gals, and she's like, "Take your corsets off and spread out." It's like, damn, dude, like I know, like the whole, like, for ladies, like taking the bra off at the end of the day is like a big relief, but going far enough back to be like, take your corsets off and lay back, it's like, oh my god, dude, this is old shit.
I mean, dude, imagine you just had like a really overly tight tie at your waist, just choking you the entire.
Yeah, it's preposterous. It's also ridiculous. When Marilyn's walking through, this is the first. Actually, no, her walkout in the beginning. Every scene where she's in, where she's supposed to be like being sexy, which is basically every scene she's in. The soundtrack goes to a completely different mix of the whole, like a cliche cartoon horn. Wow, 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 wah, wah. Like it's not used in any other part of the movie, so it's so jarring, like in modern standards, to see this.
It would have been very funny if they used that sound effect when Josephine and Daphne are first appearing on screen. So on the train, the ladies are starting to play their music. I believe Josephine is the one who plays the sax, and she just gets way too much enjoyment from playing the sax.
Yeah.
She is like, I think that sax was a stand-in for something else. That's all I'm gonna say.
And I know I wrote down that during that scene of Marilyn in her first of many dresses that were designed to just be all mesh except the nips, and also in every scene she's wearing them, it's unzipped on the back all the way down, which in real life I feel like at least one of the ladies there would have been like, do you want me to fucking zip your dress up? Like, what are you doing? Like today, that you wouldn't be able to get away with that, because today people would think it was ridiculous that you just have this lady walking around half on, like her dress half on.
It was preposterous.
But that scene's going down, and Blake here just goes, fuck, that's so hot.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, there were multiple scenes with Marilyn Monroe, so I will say her character name in the movie, Sugarcane Kowalski.
Sugarcane Kowalski?
Yep, look up the IMDb.
That's a terrible.
I might be saying the last name wrong, but it is an ethnic Polish-ish name.
I don't think they ever said it in the movie.
That's what IMDb told me, so IMDb never lies. Anyway, her singing oozed sex appeal. And there were probably 3 or 4 different scenes in this movie where I was having trouble focusing on what was actually going on, because her personalities, we'll say, were very
prominently. Her personalities were prominently.
Yeah, and I mean, just her mannerisms are like, everything she does in a way is kind of seductive, which is a good I think this is one thing the movie really succeeded with, because in contrast to the guys who everything they do makes me wonder, one, are they homosexuals? And two, like, well, yes. And two, like, these guys do not understand what women are like whatsoever. Which was just very unsexy and appealing. So that was a good contrast. And I also did enjoy her being like, oh, I got kicked off my last band for slipping a flask and drinking, and then she immediately starts boozing on the train.
Well, also the flask tucked into the stockings under the dress. Yeah. Like, I mean, look at your reaction right now, just thinking about it. Like that, that was a ball, like that, or like a gun tucked in there is like a classic hot lady thing to do in a movie, is have something tucked into the stockings. Yeah. I just know that, like, and don't get me wrong, there were a couple scenes where I also was very locked in, but not in terms of what the dialogue was.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of scenes where I would just look over at Blake here, and he'd be like, at the screen. I was like, you know what? I can't even blame you, dude.
Yeah, for the audio only listeners, I was dumbfounded.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing in those scenes, and it worked. I mean, she apparently banged half the people on the set, so that we'll get to that with the behind the scenes. But there's some fucking crazy shit with her and people on there.
So after the band initially plays, it's sleeping time for the ladies.
Oh no! Wait. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I didn't see this. When she said, "I'm sugarcane," you audibly said, "Of course you are." Okay, anyway, continuing past. Of course you are.
So the ladies go to sleep time, night. And what I really just noticed here, first of all, the ladies are all saying goodnight to Daphne, who is Jerry in the non-drag scenes.
Daphne,
yeah, we're gonna say Daphne and Josephine from here forward, because they're in drag pretty much the rest of the movie. Edit that out. But anyways, Daphne saying goodnight to everyone, and I wrote down, because I was like, this is another thing, and that's kind of one of my issues with people saying this movie is the greatest comedy of all time. Half the things we were meant to laugh at fell completely flat on their face. Like, I mean, like the ladies, I think, getting wild and like the bunk was supposed to be like, ah, and it was just like, okay.
It was mildly
Bitches be wilding, I guess. Like
mildly entertaining, kind of funny. I mean, the hijinks of like them going back, like
yeah,
it was kind of funny, but it was one of those things where like for the time,
for the time
that was probably like, oh my god, this is a hilarious scenario. Like, can you imagine?
Yeah.
I've never been in a train car with more than one woman at a time, but nowadays it's like the amount of comedies we have, that would be like
that would get something that gets cut either in the first draft or would be the setup to the setup of an act.
or like that comedic scenario would be the setup to make jokes in it.
Yeah.
Whereas back then, like just the scenario itself was funny enough to be the scene. Like they didn't have to add to it.
Like if this was like a Jim Carrey comedy, he would have like banged his head right in the middle of like a girl's tits. Or like he would have been like, yeah, how about some ice, ladies? And then like the ice just fell directly on him. Or like something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it would have, and the joke here was there's a lot of people in the train car. It's like, and by the way, Smash Squad, if you guys want to play along and get drunk with us throughout the episode, take a shot every time we say for the time. You will be blackout before we finish. But anyway, so like I said, that was supposed to be hilarious, fell flat on its face. What was not supposed to be funny at all, that I laughed out loud at, is Daphne says goodbye to one of the girls at night and just grabs like, and I think she was just trying to be friendly, but grabs what I thought was her ass through like the screen door and was like, good night, Barbara, or whatever the fuck the lady's name was. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, during that scene, there's a couple bits that I wrote that I thought were pretty good. One was him. I don't think it was intentional, but him being like "nighty night, Emily," like the way he's like "nighty night, Emily," like the way he's it's so creepy. And then also him reminding himself when he's trying not to get too horny, being like, I'm a girl," which in 1950 language meant I'm straight and a man. But like nowadays, like that you could be a lesbian. Like there's no like being like I'm a girl doesn't mean you're not into girls nowadays. Like I think that wouldn't work at all. But back then that was like code for the audience. Like I'm not into women. And then also the fact that all the ladies, and I pointed this out to you, all the ladies had to use the ladder to get into the top bunk. That was like 3 to 4 feet in the air. Like again, like not like it was like here. Like all you wouldn't even need upper body strength. You literally would just have to jump and flop into it and you'd be able to get in. And they're like, no, we have to have a 2-step giant wooden ladder for us to all get in there. And then right before all the ladies flood the bunk, I love him just absolutely crumbling to bits, trying to hold it together with Marilyn Monroe.
That was very funny. That was one comic bit that did land.
Entertaining and very realistic. Like if you're trying to be undercover and then Marilyn Monroe is snuggling up against you, you'd be like, "Oh fuck."
Yeah. I mean, he's like, my toes feel a little bit warm.
She's like, "Let me warm them," and he's like rubbing on him. Like, and also, apparently, based on the behind the scenes stuff, she was
doing a little more.
A big fan of grinding on him off camera. For no reason other than her own entertainment. So I'm sure that scene was a little bit of reality mixed in with. That's probably why it went off so well. And then what we got her about to leave, and he convinces her to come back with whiskey. Also sort of aged poorly, but it luckily devolves into all the ladies, getting together in the bunk and having some drinks.
They have a cocktail shaker that was just preposterous. Another thing that was not supposed to be funny. It looked like a whoopee cushion.
It was just a giant rubber bag. And they were talking like, was that just the standard at the time? Like, am I stupid?
I've never seen a cocktail.
Because they were talking about it like it was like, here it is. Like, here's the
We'll make Manhattan.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, I've never heard of ladies being like, maybe that's a modern trend of women not liking beer and only drinking fruity drinks. Like, maybe back in the day,
it was different.
They were like, fuck it, I'll slam.
They only drank dark liquor. It was bourbon and whiskey the entire time.
Like, I won't even drink whiskey now. So imagine, like, Marilyn Monroe drinking whiskey. That's kind of a...
I'm not a big shooting whiskey guy. I just don't really see the appeal of it. There are some guys who get really into it.
Well, it's like tequila. It's such a strong flavor that you either love it or you hate it, because even if you mix it with something, it still just tastes like whiskey. Like, Same thing with tequila. You can put anything into that glass after the tequila or after the whiskey, and it's still gonna just taste like whiskey.
Yeah, I mean, whiskey to me of all the liquors though is just the most like overpowering. Like to have a successful whiskey mixed drink, you need like at least 3 or 4 other ingredients.
And it still just
And it still is taste primarily like barreled whiskey, whereas like a vodka or tequila, you can put 2 things in there and you have a good combo. Anyway, that has nothing to do with the movie, but I just wanted to.
This is where we get to the second instance of his buddy getting pissed that he's talking to a lady.
I literally wrote down on that scene that Josephine, for and especially I bet for the time period, is the most gay coded character I've ever seen.
Yeah.
If this movie was made even 30 years later, that character is openly gay.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think for the time, another shot. I think for the time, like he was written. Like I do think that an element of this movie was to depict a homosexual relation. Like,
Yeah.
I feel weird using the word homosexual this often. I feel like a boomer, but a gay relationship. Yeah, like a gay relationship, that sort of stuff, because they couldn't explicitly do it. This was basically as close as they could get in the 50s, and then just use the guise of. I mean, they'd say in the behind the scenes, literally, that they had to introduce the mob plot so that audiences would have an excuse for them to dress up at like women and hide, because without literally the threat of death, it would have been unacceptable for these men to dress up as women.
I mean, dude, this movie, and I thought this was a joke, but it's real. This movie was literally banned in Kansas when it was released because they felt that drag was too offensive for Kansasians.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff from the behind the scenes where they're talking about how damaging all these different things are, and it does kind of like 20 years from now, we're going to look back at this time period in kind of a similar way, I think, where like the conservatives of this country just flip the fuck out. That's about stuff that like 20 years from now, we're all going to be like, who gives a shit?
I mean, you say the words trans athletes, and you'll have like 12 guys in Oakleys in their Chevy pickup trucks. Not a slight to Chevy.
Shitting their pants.
Shitting their pants and pointing their fucking Glocks.
They're like all 12 in the country. Yeah. They're ruining the sport. Yeah.
One of them took away a medal last year. But anyway, I digress. So the ladies have a rowdy time. They start smoking cigs in like a 2-foot carriage, which that shit must have smelled disgusting. There's all this secondhand smoke, and I don't know what they're wearing to bed.
A man's BO.
Yeah.
2 men, actually. They're BO, sweaty as fuck, smoking cigs and drinking whiskey out of a colostomy bag.
Like, it smells like a 40s wrestling locker room.
Would have been good. This is actually the official point where I wrote that Marilyn Monroe surpasses the hype. Also, her constantly insisting that she's dumb is some of the most 1950s male writing I've ever seen.
The entire movie is written from the male gaze. I think anybody in like an executive position of power, so like director, writer, producer, that kind of thing, behind the scenes, studio head obviously, was a man. Yeah. And I mean, there is nothing from this. The way that women are just depicted generally in this movie is just not realistic, I feel like, for any time period.
Well, because they're all just retarded.
They're all, yeah, they all have like room temp IQs in this movie at best.
And the only interest they have is in men. Drinking and men.
Yeah. Real ass shit. Anyway, so
Beanstalk, dude. Yes. We haven't gotten to
So Beanstalk is the dweeby guy who's assigned to essentially keep the ladies of the group in check. He's got like 3-inch thick glasses. Yeah, Beanstalk seems like a guy who's there because he just loves jazz that much, and for no other reason.
And then what's her name?
Sweet Sue.
Sweet Sue discovers that some shenanigans have been going on.
Yeah, so the Daphne panics, or maybe there's just too many women, and she pulls the emergency brake.
Oh, that's
and Sweet Sue comes in and is like, what's going on? And then Beanstalk goes, are we in Florida?
That was one of the moments of the movie I did laugh out loud. I just loved him get like the guy reaction of like she's flipping out and he's just like, what, are we here? Like he does not give a shit at all.
Anyway, that little pause was to finish our drinks. We're halfway there. Um, so they arrive in Florida, which is actually San Diego. That was used as a stand-in for Florida. They have a dope ass house. You see a bunch of elderly playboys just party rocking in their rocking chairs. And then we are introduced to who I would say of any character in the movie, which is a feat in itself, aged the absolute worst, which is Osgood Fielding, who immediately starts essentially grubbing on and
Also, her Daphne's shoe falls off.
Yes.
It's Daphne, right?
Yes.
Daphne's shoes fall off, and then he immediately grabs it to put on her like Cinderella, and is like, "May I? If there's one thing I love, it's a woman with a shapely angle."
Yeah, there's one thing I admire. It's a girl with a shapely.
It's just such a crazy thing to say to someone about anything. And then I also like when they're chatting, him being like, "You're barking up the wrong fish."
Yeah. Within 2 minutes of meeting the character, and in like runtime and real lifetime, like he's never met this woman before, and he goes, "If I promise not to be a naughty boy, how about dinner tonight?"
I will say one of the best one-liners in the movie was him being like, "Do you use a bow or do you pluck it?" Which I think was meant to be like finger, or are you not putting this together? He's asking if she's flicking the bean or hurting.
Yeah.
And but it's the '50s, so he can't say that. So he's like, do you use a bow or do you pluck it? And then and then Daphne goes, "I prefer to smack it." And that was a good fucking line. Like that was great, especially for the '50s. Dude, like, audiences must have been like, "Oh, no."
The hip young swinging singles at UCLA must have eaten that one up in the test.
I mean, dude, there's a point in the movie where someone just implies the idea that sex exists, not like something dirty. Like they just imply that sex exists, and they're like, "Get these ladies in check. What are they talking about?"
Yeah. Oh no, it was they're on a train and one random girl in their group like starts to tell one liner that's clearly like a dirty joke, and they're like, "Please have some decency."
The joke was just like, "I had sex once."
Yeah. I've had a man enter me.
Yeah.
But so Osgood immediately shows why he is the '50s Weinstein and the character who aged the worst. So him and Daphne get on an elevator, and they don't show explicitly on screen what happens. I think he pulled a Billy Bush and Donnie and just grabbed her by the pussy. But
No, he pinched her butt.
Because she's they're saying.
Well, she came out and was like, "I just got pinched in the ass." Like he's holding his butt. Like he literally is like demonstrating where he got pinched.
I took a liberal interpretation.
Yeah. And
well, anyway, he gets groped by Osgood in the elevator, and basically slaps him, and that somehow is a turn on for him because he's
dude, he was loving it.
Dude, he was like, "I love a girl that fights back." Which again, for the time, take a shot. That was probably something that was a turn on. It's like, my wife tries to fight back when I beat her. That is so sexy.
Well, also I love it being like, "I just got pinched. Can you believe this?" And then not Daphne. What's the other one? Josephine is like, "Well, that's how the other sex lives." It is like, damn, this movie in 1959 doing its best at commentating on sexism is pretty hilarious. Like,
it is very funny too because Billy Wilder at the time was known as like an issues movie director, which is very funny because many of his takes on these issues have aged comically poorly. But while that's going on, Josephine gets hit on by a bellhop who I don't really understand why that character was in the movie.
I don't know either. I feel like they just couldn't come up with, you know what it might be? Marilyn was offset that day, and they were like, "Fuck it, we're here. We have to film something, so we're just gonna have this bellhop and a blind guy come out of an elevator and move past."
Yeah, I guess. Marilyn did show up eventually, and she's like, "Oh, Daphne, you should come for a swim with me." And she goes, "I don't have a swimsuit." And she goes, "I don't have one either." And I was like, man, I really hope this movie delivers on that promise. But she actually did have a swimsuit. And not only that, every single woman in this movie wears a swim cap and dress.
Like a full dress.
Yeah. like more conservative than like a mini skirt would be nowadays to dress.
Oh, way more conservative than a mini skirt. It was literally like a small dress they were wearing.
Yeah.
Actually, it reminds me, one time we were in Albania, and my mom had one of those mom type swimsuits where it's like a one piece thing, but then there's the little skirt extra thing you can add on because
The sachet or
I
whatever.
forget for some reason, even when they're swimming, women want to have additional pieces to worry about. When in my mind, I just want things to be simple. But
I just wear a swim trunk.
anyway, she's got this on. Everyone else in Albania is wearing a bikini. Like there are 400-pound women wearing
Not.
bikinis.
I got ahead of my. I responded before you said the full.
No, I said 400-pound women. You went hot. All right, so now we know Blake's type. But anyway, there's 400-pound women in bikini. Like everyone is wearing a bikini. Men are wearing speedos. She comes out in like, again, you would just see as like a mom swimsuit. You know, like nothing crazy, like just a one piece with a little skirt thing. Some guy runs over to her in the pool and is like, "No, you cannot swim in a dress. Like, get out of there. You cannot be doing this." And she's like, "No, it's a swim." And it took like 10 minutes for him to understand that it was a swimsuit. And that was like in our modern era. Like, imagine you showed that guy this clip.
Oh, he would.
In his mind, that's just like a bunch of women running into the ocean with ball gowns.
I mean, yeah. So then on the beach, Daphne and Josephine both get into some funny hijinks. So Josephine sits in one of the most, another thing that has aged terribly. I don't know what that beach chair was.
Oh, the one with the roof?
Yeah.
It reminded me of, and I'll try and put a clip of from Parks and Recreation. Tom, like when they're wasting all this money on their office and he gets the chair with a roof because he thinks it's sick. It was literally that, but a wicker chair, but with like a roof over it. I've never seen something like that in my life.
I did not know something like that existed.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen that, but now that I've seen it, not gonna lie, kind of sick.
Her son originally in that chair, and Josephine, being the catty gay that she is, just starts bullying the 8-year-old and essentially scares them off. And meanwhile, Daphne and Honey Cane, which is Marilyn Monroe's character, Sugar Cane, I can't. It was epic.
I mean, he was barely paying attention anytime she spoke.
Sugar
tits.
Suck my dick. Sugar tits, whatever the fuck. She was playing a game with Daphne, which I didn't really understand what the game. I wrote that down. It seemed to be they threw a ball in a circle and then counted each time someone was able to catch this comically. It was like
this, yeah. It was like a Teflon large ball.
Like it would be very difficult to drop.
Like it seems like the game was basically, are you blind or not?
And they got to like 5, and someone threw the ball way out of town, which makes no sense because they're passing to each other 3 feet away.
They're playing the easiest game of catch imaginable, and one of them still fumbled the shit out of the throw. And the writers were like, "Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That's how women do sports.
Women regularly." I mean, we're 40 years away from the WNBA at this point. But they fumbled the ball, and then in that time, Josephine changes into a rich yacht captain character. I'm not gonna lie, I did miss about 2 minutes of actual plot there because I couldn't stop staring at Marilyn Monroe.
He had like a boat captain hat, like the cliche boat captain hat, like a fancy a button down, and then he stole Beanstalk's glasses, which they did comment on because Marilyn Monroe said that she loves a man with glasses
and a sax player
because they're so soft and intellectual. I guess I don't know.
I guess women always have loved betas, except for chads like me. But just kidding. But anyways, so from what I was able to gather from the parts of the scene I was able to pay attention to, the standard for a guy in Marilyn Monroe and every other woman in the movie's eyes is that they don't actively grope women. So the fact that he had a conversation with her and didn't immediately try to pinch her ass made him a great guy. So
the president doesn't hold up to that standard, so
yeah,
it might actually be not as low of a bar as we thought.
So he hits it off with her. He's like, "Come with me on my yacht tonight," and then he sneaks back into the tub. Except he doesn't bother to change his clothes.
You also skipped a great line, which is him saying, you play that very fast music, Jazz."
I don't think that was supposed to be funny either. That's the problem.
I think at the in 1929 that was supposed to be like the new crazy. I mean, once again, going back to like American conservatives, the things they freak out about when you look back in time, it's like, man, like, did you guys not realize how fucking stupid you would sound?
I mean, this movie, if anything, is a massive indictment on just general conservatism, because the conservatism of the time would have said that a movie where women swim in swim caps and full dresses and jazz is considered edgy is not fit for public consumption.
Yeah, I mean, there were points where they said that like that joke where the woman implies sex, not anything specific, not anything kinky, just implies that she's had sex. Was one of the lines where they were like, "This is degenerate and it's damaging to audiences." I was like, bro, like how do you live your life that way? Like, no one in your family can possibly take you seriously.
That was insane. So from there, in the cover up,
He gets in the tub.
he gets in the tub, fully clothed.
I did like that bit. I thought it was funny, like him getting out, like covered in bubbles, while he's fighting with his buddy. Like, I thought that was a pretty good physical comedy bit. I'm trying to give this movie credit because a lot of them either went over our heads due to the time difference, or frankly just didn't find funny. But I like the soap on him bit. We got the title, the Family Guy. He said the thing. Where he's like, well, some like it hot like that jazz. I prefer classical.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. So then they do a performance at the hotel. Again, I don't actually remember what happened in that scene because I couldn't stop staring at Marilyn Monroe in a dress that was
99% tits like that.
Yeah.
Also, right before that, we had the phone call with Osgood.
Oh.
I think that was right.
I believe Osgood was the one who said this line. I did write this down. He said to Daphne, he goes, "When I'm aroused, I'm a tiger," which was very funny.
Can I see you tonight? Oh, I can do that. And it's like, dude, this is a psychopath.
And one thing I do want to comment on is they did a little fast one with the guys. Originally, Daphne has the lead on Marilyn, but Josephine, as posing as a yacht captain, not really specific, kind of gets the inside track.
So I'm not tripping, right? Like, that was like in the first half.
It was Daphne. Yeah. They even say that in the trailer.
Or no, Geraldine was Geraldine Daphne. Oh, it was Geraldine for like one scene. All right, so yeah. Daphne was the one in the bunk with Marilyn Monroe, right? And then it switched to Josephine because he had the better scheme.
Yeah.
And then his buddy was like, "Oh, we can't do this, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Dude, see, like now you're both getting on this thing of you're both getting pissed when the other's getting close to a girl." Because before it was Josephine that was getting pissed when he was talking to ladies. Now Daphne is freaking the fuck out that he's got a good ass scheme compared to his scheme. His scheme was just to be a woman in a bed. Yeah, and be like, "I have a surprise for you," as if he was just gonna like whip his dick out in the bunk as the surprise, which for the 50s might have actually just been the standard first maneuver. Standard operating procedure at the time was just to whip your dick out.
The standard 50s maneuver is you slap them twice across the face so they know what the marriage is gonna be like, and then you whip your dick out and you go, "Oh wait." But anyway, so Josephine goes into disguise mode as Skipper the Flip or whatever the fuck that character was supposed to be named.
Millionaire.
A millionaire who is apparently a Cary Grant impersonation. I've never seen a movie of Cary Grant, but apparently that's what he sounded like. If that really is his voice, that's pretty unfortunate for him. He's saying, you know, the guy in Family Guy who is like the comically long, like chin.
Yeah.
That's who that voice sounded like to me.
Yeah, well, also there's the great bit where they're talking like right after the performance, and you know, there's another example of Marilyn Monroe's dress just being completely unzipped anytime she's on screen. We get her being like, "Oh, like what have you done when you're performing?" And he's like, I do lots of rich person things like water polo. And she's like, "Isn't that very dangerous?" He's like, "Yes, it's quite dangerous. I've had 2 horses die under me." Like that was a good line. Like, yeah, I thought that was great. Also, the Sweet Sue, is that her name?
Yes.
The leader of the band, being like, all you daddies out there, every one of my girls is a virtuoso, and I plan on keeping it that.
That is not where I thought the first part of that sentence was going.
Well, that was kind of the joke, but it's just like that was the joke. You realize that? Yeah, like was like the virtuoso, and I plan on keeping them that way. And it's just like the guys in the audience must have been like, "Ha ha ha! Like what a filthy group." They almost said the word virgin.
Dude, this is some Carter Peter Schmidt level humor. But anyway, so Josephine gets changed into her millionaire disguise, and so Honey Cane just absolutely guns it to the pier. Fuck Sugar me, tits. Sugar. Yeah, Sugar absolutely guns it to the pier. The millionaire disguise is really failing because, first of all, the way the boat was driven was appalling.
When he reverses all the way there for no reason?
Yeah, he cannot put the boat in drive, and he struggled to start.
Yeah, I don't really understand what that, like, if you put it in reverse, all you have to do is push the throttle the opposite direction.
How could he not figure that out?
Boats are not that complicated. Yeah. I got my license at 12, so, like, you can, they're pretty fucking straightforward. And this was the most frustrating scene
I was getting
in the entire movie.
I was getting pissed watching. So I believe the scheme was that the Joe was playing hard to get with her, but the thing was like she was essentially throwing herself at him, and he was acting like he wasn't attracted to her, which like I'm sure the audience loved for the time.
The first time I get like you're playing hard to get and you're trying to make her chase you. Like 4 or 5 times. But like she would kiss him and he'd be like, "Stand on nothing," and then she'd kiss him again and he'd be like, "I'm not this time." And it's like, bro, how many, like, what if she had just given up after the second one? And been like, "Oh fuck, I guess you're an asexual fucking weirdo. Like, I'm Marilyn Monroe and I'm trying to bang you and you're rejecting my advances."
I think this movie, it's pretty much every letter in the LGBT band.
Yeah, because he was acting asexual. And by like the 5th time, both of us watching this movie, he would say it, we'd be like, "What are you doing? You've reached the finish line. Like she's actively trying to bang you, and you're continuing to be like, I'm not interested."
I mean, his lie was that he was dating a girl at Princeton who was blind. No, they both tried to kiss each other, and the girl fell into the Grand Canyon and died.
She moves closer to me, and then
it's one step too far.
Some hours to get her out by mule. And I was like, what is this story you're telling her, dude? And Marilyn, of course, is like, "Oh my days, that's horrible." But it's like, bro, you told the sob story. You made her work for it.
He doubled down, dude.
You've already sealed the deal. What are you denying this for?
Before she tries again, he goes, "Every doctor couldn't diagnose what I had. I just can't be attracted to any woman." And he goes, and again, I don't think this was supposed to be a funny line. I laughed out loud at this. He goes, "If I wasn't such a coward, I'd kill myself."
I do remember the middle of this weird speech where he's denying her for like the 14th time.
Yeah.
He also has to insert, "I would have killed myself." And it's like, you are fumbling this harder than anybody I've ever seen in a movie. You've literally, Marilyn Monroe is throwing herself at you, and instead of taking the win, you're like, "I must continue to play hard to get."
If this was made in modern times, in this scene, Marilyn Monroe would be completely naked, probably legs spread, and he would have been like, "Oh, I don't know if I find women attractive." So he's like, "Oh, I'll get you some champagne." He just chugs his.
Oh yeah, he slams it and then hands her the other glass, and that's a good behind the scenes tidbit to get into.
Oh yeah,
is I'm sure you remember more of the details than I do, but basically he has the glass of champagne, he's offering it to her, and she's like, no. Or actually, I think in the movie she takes it, but
She does take it.
I guess I guess behind the scenes she didn't want to take it, and then whatever his name is
Arthur Miller
got mad that she wouldn't take. No. The actor
Tony Curtis.
Tony Curtis got mad that she wouldn't take it, so he tried to like shove it at her.
Yeah.
And then she shoved him. I mean, again, at the time, this was probably like a massive brawl. But basically, it was like a light shoving match.
Yeah.
And then her husband, the biggest cuck of all time, comes in and is like, why are you pushing my wife? And then he's like, oh, my bad. And then the husband's like, and why are you fucking her too? Because they had been.
Well, no, she told him that.
Yeah, she told him that
they fucked, and she thought she was pregnant with his child.
Yeah. Bro, like if you're married to Marilyn Monroe,
what did you expect?
Who's acting like Marilyn Monroe, you have to know. The fact that he heard this news.
They literally, the headline when they married was Egghead Marries Bomb.
And another guy gets your wife pregnant, and you're like, man, don't do that again. Like, bro, like, come on. You just got to give up at that point.
Come on, brother. And then another thing that Josephine says in this scene is Marilyn Monroe for like the fourth time kisses him, and he goes, that was like smoking without inhaling.
He's like, I like smoking without inhaling. And it's like, dude, why are you shitting on her right now? Like, you're...
Also, it would be one thing if he was like, oh, like, I have this disorder, like, it's hard for me, whatever. He was making it like she was the problem.
Yeah, well, you kind of doubled down on being gay while she was kissing him. Which
I literally wrote, I think you're gay, brother.
And then, while this is going on, Daphne is stuck with Osgood, which are
another scene they had to film because Marilyn Monroe didn't show up to set.
Yeah, which I'm glad they did, because I did think it was funny to have cutting between the two. Like, this dude is getting the world's hottest woman throwing herself at him, and then his buddy has to be out with the world's biggest creep who's like 5'3", just like doing ridiculous
the rose out of his mouth.
Yeah, exactly, like so ridiculous.
Oh, Marilyn Monroe has a laugh that I don't remember the rest of either scene, but the following scene, there is Daphne, who is essentially having a seizure with the maracas because she had her gay awakening, and
she was proposed.
Yeah, so she got proposed to by Osgood, and Josephine's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And she basically goes, "Why would a?" And she goes like, "Why would a guy want to marry a guy?" And then Daphne goes, "Security."
Which they talk about the behind the scenes is like a very progressive moment for gay marriage.
It was essentially them hinting at the fact that gay marriage could exist.
Yeah, and that at the time was like, whoa, like what a statement, dude. They mentioned a man marrying a man.
Yeah.
He didn't even defend it from like a gay marriage standpoint either. He said like the security line was meant to be a joke.
Yeah.
But even then, just doing that joke was somehow like, whoa, couple of hippies making this movie.
The beatnik generation was having a field day with this one. So after the guys basically are swapping who gets to be the girl in their relationship, Spat shows up to the hotel. I personally thought that this actor was not very good. Some of his lines, it literally sounds like he's reading the script for the first time. Spats?
Yeah, I mean, that guy was phoning it in so hard.
There are several instances, especially when he first arrives to the hotel in this scene, where it sounds like he has never seen the words that he is saying before.
I mean, him and Marilyn Monroe were just reading off. Like, Marilyn Monroe, I didn't realize until seeing the post-production stuff, but, like...
Spats, I could tell watching them.
I thought that Marilyn Monroe was just doing weird, like, back and forth flirty eye movements, but it's like, no, she was literally reading everything she was saying because she couldn't remember a single fucking sentence.
That's a testament to her star power. That
if she was able to get away with being able to, unable to memorize a single word.
Spats, on the other hand, it is painfully obvious. And besides the fact that the actor does a terrible job, the character is a terrible criminal. some guy in the hotel is like, oh, like Toothpick Charlie died. And he's like, oh, you want to get a witness? Like, he basically admits to killing the guy, and puts no cover whatsoever. He's like, you have no witnesses.
No, he says, oh, you want to find them? You'll have to dig them up. And it's like, you just told him you murdered them. The witnesses didn't exist as far, like, he was like, oh, I'll find a hypothetical.
They also told him, like, oh, we're not going to.
Yeah, like, we
All
haven't,
he had to do was his own
we
outside.
haven't found a witness. They don't know that one exists, but he's like, oh, they do exist. You'll have to dig them up. And it's like, dude, you just told him you killed them.
So, at that point, Spatz is kind of on to the fact that Josephine and Daphne are really Joe and Jerry, which everyone else should have figured out by this point.
You walk past, this is a background character that I enjoyed. This random Italian guy who's talking to them, who's flipping a coin the entire time he's doing it. But he's focusing so hard on flipping the coin and catching it that I could not listen to a word he was saying, because it was just so comical that he was like, the director was like, yeah, you'll flip a coin while you're talking. And so he was like, while casually talking, but like clearly all of his energy was on flipping that coin. I was like, dude, just cut that part out. Like, clearly the dude cannot act and flip a coin. That's too much for his brain. Like, just cut the coin thing out.
So at this point, they push the old man off the elevator to hide, and I immediately wrote down, that is a memeable moment. The old man's face is literally like, whoa! God, he does that.
Speed racer here off the elevator.
That man was 51. I don't know how old he actually
was.
I
thought, because he looked 80 years old. I thought you were saying, like, yeah, he looks 80. He's actually 50. That would have blown my mind. Probably.
You have no way of knowing. So at this point, the fellows know the gangsters are on to them. Josephine tries to break things off by Marilyn Monroe. Again, I don't actually remember what happens.
Is that after they get in the elevator with all the... Because when they're in the elevator, first of all the men take off their hats because there's ladies in the elevator, which is very old-timey and dumb. But I love the one guy turning to them and being like, you ever been to Chicago? Like, he said it in a way where, like, he was trying to be flirty, but it just came off like, you ever been to Chicago?
Dude, I mean, any city you say that with is ridiculous, but, like, imagine you in an elevator and someone's like, you ever been to Chattanooga?
And that guy, and then one of them being like, according to our tax advisor, she's only so-so, but that's the way the oil gushes.
I did write that down. That was a ridiculous lie. Well, yeah, because that was what Josephine says when she's breaking up with Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, because she has to go on the oil venture to Venezuela.
Yeah. And Marilyn Monroe, again, I couldn't focus on the rest of the scene because she was just fantasizing about her dream. I was like, man, I fantasize about you in my dreams. So the whole yacht scheme thing, Josephine executed horribly and very unbelievable, but she's a dumb blonde, so she doesn't intimidate the misogynist of the 50s, so it, of course, works perfectly on her. And then at this point,
he doesn't invite her with him. Yeah, like, that's what pissed me off. Is he's like, we got to go on the run. He easily could have just been like, hey, do you want to come with me? Because she was clearly smitten by that point.
Oh, yeah.
But instead, he's like, oh no, we gotta leave. It's like, dude, bring her.
Well, again, the character is clearly gay.
Yeah.
So they make the ending to make him seem straight.
She is the ultimate beard.
Yeah, and before I get to the scene with the Italian Opera Association, I have drank almost 5 beers at this point, and I need a piss break. All right, we're back. So the fellas, 6-pack takes a toll on you physically. Not gonna get into detail, but anyway, at this point, so the gangsta party is back in the hotel, and Lino Bonaparte is talking to the guys, and Proto Andre is basically acting like the fourth member of the Three Stooges.
Big nose.
Yeah.
Was he in the Three Stooges? Okay, because he does look exactly like Mo.
No, he does. I have looked at this actor's entire IMDb.
He's not in the. That's crazy. Okay.
And Bonaparte makes the sick brag. He says, "We made 112 million before taxes. Only we don't pay tax."
Couple of criminals, these guys
Yeah,
avoiding taxes, dude. That's next level.
These guys don't bend the rules.
I don't
they
have
break 'em.
I don't have anything written down between them showing up at that party and then them chasing the guys.
I have a lot written down. So at this point, they're like, let's have a moment of silence for the guys who died. And Spags is like, no, I don't want to do that.
Oh, right. So who's the main mob guy?
Spags.
No, the one at the head of the table. That's
Little Bonaparte.
Okay, yeah. He's like, moment of silence for these guys that died. Spats, who's trying to hide the fact that he murdered them.
I literally wrote Spags. I was drunk watching this movie. But Spats is like, nah, we're not.
Yeah, he just cannot play it cool in front of the crew.
Also, all he had to do was be like, yeah. So what Little Bonaparte does, which, by the way, comically Italian character.
I mean, just the actor who played him was so bad. Like
It was a Jewish guy.
It literally felt like someone doing a funny impression of an Italian person.
Whatever the Italian version of blackface is,
like it felt like one of your buddies being like, "Hey, gabagool, woo, it's a meme, it's a meme, Mario." Like it was that level of bad acting as an Italian person.
And maybe that was a point that was funny when the movie was released. It's like, an ethnic, let's make fun of him. But anyways, so the plot then is, we know that Spats did it. So we're going to plant a birthday cake for him and then have our gunman hide in the cake and shoot his entire crew.
No. So I did have something written down. They got discovered right before that. They look out the window and see the two leads trying to escape, when they realize the mob boss is there. They see them trying to escape. So they chase them down. They change outfits into like the bellhop and the random person. But somehow they have the time to change their entire outfit, but don't take off their heels, like the most notable part of that getup. And so the mobsters see the heels, and that's what gets them. And I was like, dude, you're running for your life, and
That's not the first time that happens in the movie. When Josephine goes to play the yacht cop captain guy, he almost forgets the earrings. And again, that's another thing where it's like, these are gay heraldry characters because they enjoy wearing that stuff and don't think to take it off.
I could see forgetting earrings, like if they're clipped on for a while, you're not feeling them because they were clip-ons.
Yeah,
you maybe don't notice it, but you're doing a full costume change and you don't forget to take off your heels. Like that was just preposterous. But then they get discovered, they run around in circles, and then they hide under the table during the mob boss meet. And that about catches us up to that.
So at this point, they kind of do and we already referenced this, but just a really poorly shot chase sequence through the hotel. And they essentially do what is Three Stooges level chase scene. Yep. And at that point, they somehow all flee to the dock. So it's the two, the gay couple, Marilyn Monroe, and then Osgood are on the boat.
No, you missed the birthday sequence.
Well, I already got the birthday sequence.
Where they but I just love them taking out the cake. And they're all singing "He's a Jolly Good Fellow."
That was for the time, very
accurate. I forgot about the fact that the Happy Birthday song was not invented when this movie was made. I feel like for our generation, that's just we assume that's what it's been forever. But no, it was the "He's a Jolly Good Fellow," and then he comes out, just mows down 6 people in the lobby of a hotel.
You see Spats getting up. He's like, "Bow!" Let me finish him off.
A bar selling spiked coffee had the entire police force raided. But this hotel lobby has a guy mow down.
In an upscale hotel.
Yeah, mow down 6 people with a Tommy gun. They're like, couple of boys, getting a little wild.
Guys being dudes.
Yeah, and he's like, I guess the cop comes in and he's like, what happened here? As if he can't tell. And he's like, something with the cake didn't sit right with him. Like, that must have been an all-time one-liner.
You see bullet holes in them, and he's like, "Yeah, the cake didn't."
I mean, dude, in the 50s, that was probably an all-time
Yeah,
one-liner. He's like,
that was a
the cake didn't sit right. They're like, get it? Because they're dead.
So at this point, the heroes make their grand escape, and as I said, it's the gay couple, Honey Cane and Sugar Cane. I wasn't really looking at her.
Sugar
You
cane.
weren't looking at it? Your aphasia was going on when they were talking about it?
I was, again, I'm a big fan of personalities, and I was all in on their personality. Her personalities were on, exactly. So they get in the boat, and Sugar Cane, they're like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I'm not very bright."
Yep. Fifth time in the movie, she's like, I'm not very bright.
Another moment that was meant to be hilarious that I'm sure the audience,
Oh, I'm sure they loved that.
the men probably threw their fedoras in the air when that happened.
And then they're making out. We only learned this recently watching some behind the scenes. That last shot where he's making out with her in the background was a stand-in because Marilyn Monroe couldn't be bothered to show up for the last day of shooting.
I mean, if I was on like lethal doses of barbiturates every day for 10 years, I probably couldn't go to set most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's fair. And then we have the ending scene of the movie, easily the most famous scene in the movie. And we've discussed this before earlier on, but probably the funniest one-liner is Osgood is driving the boat, standing next to Josephine and Daphne. And Daphne is like, he's like, "Oh, I talked to my ma, and we can have you can wear her wedding dress. It's white lace." And he's like, "Osgood, I can't do that. We're not built the same way." And he's like, "We'll have it altered." And then he's like, he does a woman line moment where he's like, "Don't you dare," because I think that's supposed to be like, like women, like she'll be offended if you have to alter the dress for her. But like while he's trying to convince him not to do it, he's like, "I'm not a natural blonde," and he's like, "That's okay." And he's like, "Well, I'm a real pass. I've been living with a saxophone player." And he's like, "I forgive you.
I can't have children. That's okay. We'll adopt. I smoke regularly. No problem to me." And then he goes, "I'm a man," and he goes, "Well, nobody's perfect." And then that's what the movie ends on.
Like, all-time great ending line is just the, "Well, I'm a man. Nobody's perfect." And then the movie ends. Like, there were a lot of jokes in this movie that, like, and even some of the ones we laughed at, like, we were laughing at in that it's funny how old they are. But that line was hilarious. And the fact that the movie, literally, the end pops up right after, "Well, nobody's perfect."
That was
It's an all-time way to end a movie right there, for sure.
You know, if you judge a movie entirely on its last scene, I can maybe see an argument for this being the best comedy ever. But again, that's not how movies work. And I would say 50 to 70% of this movie is never funny or only funny if you were in your 20s in the 50s. So,
I mean, based on what we heard, the best audience reaction they got was like UCLA students in the 50s, which is like the most progressive liberal people that you could show this to. And even they were like, "Ha ha!"
For a movie that would be rated like G
at most. I mean, it could be G. I mean, do they really, like, I guess implications of sex? Well, that, and also Marilyn Monroe basically has her tits out the entire movie. So
a bold and very lauded creative choice.
Yeah, I could tell you were a big fan of the costume designer.
I mean, we'll get to that, but yeah, I did enjoy the costume designer. So before we actually get into segments, as I said, the behind the scenes of this movie is just fucking nuts.
Yeah, I mean, there's just an absurd amount of behind the scenes stuff put into this. We're gonna have to speed run it because there's like a page and a half that we've written down. We don't have time for that. We're already
I'm gonna speed run. So, first of all, I hate that people nowadays are like Hollywood comes up with nothing original because Hollywood has never been original. This movie is not an original script. It was adapted from a book called The Fanfare of Love by Michael Logan. Shout out that guy. He probably hated black people based on his age, so not really shout out him. Go fuck yourself, Michael Logan. But anyway, the tagline of the movie too, again, just emphasizing the non-originality. Not since Scarface, 1932 edition, so much action. Not since the Marx Brothers very low standard. So much comedy, not since the 7-Year Itch, so much Marilyn. That was what they sold the film.
Wait, so what is that Scarface movie? Like I've never even heard that there was a 1930s.
So there's a 30s version that is very different. Imagine this movie kind of vibes, but if you translated it to Scarface.
That sounds horrible.
It's an all-white cast.
Well, no shit, dude. It's about an Italian gangster.
I haven't actually seen that movie because I've only seen the actually good Scarface, but yeah, not great. So something cool behind the scenes. The supporting cast was also a shit show, as we touched on with the main cast. So Spats kicked the toothpick out of Toothpick Charlie's mouth in that scene. George Raft is the actor who played Spats, and George Stone is the actor who played Toothpick Charlie. So George Raft was afraid that he was going to kick George Stone in the face by kicking the toothpick out of Charlie's mouth, so he kept fucking it up. So Billy Wilder, who was the director, was furious and was like, this is how it's done. Immediately kicked George Stone in the face. And they eventually switched it to a nail.
That's like how Tarantino, when there's like the scene of the chicken in Inglourious Bastards getting choked out by Hans Landa.
Yeah.
That's Tarantino's hands. Because Christoph Waltz was like, I'm not going to literally choke this fucking lady.
He's like, no.
And Tarantino was like, step aside, let the big boys handle it, and choke the shit out of her. Also, anytime someone gets spit on in a Tarantino movie, that's him. Because the real actors are like, I don't really want to do that. And he's like, here, move aside, and spits on them. So that just seems to be a common theme of directors being like, you fucking pussy, let me spit, kick, or choke this actor on set. We also got the girl voice we've covered being dubbed is fucking insane. I cannot, like, that's a serious chunk of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, and the fact that we didn't even notice, like,
probably half of Tony Curtis's lines are dubbed by.
Like, honorable mention for off-screen MVP, the sound engineer, sound engineer who put that in, like, that is fantastic.
So, well, nobody's perfect, which I think is widely regarded as the best line of the movie.
Yeah.
Another reason I refuse to acknowledge this movie as the best comedy, that was supposed to be a placeholder for a different line that they just couldn't think of.
I mean, I don't think that affects my ranking because
it already wasn't, but it solidifies my experience, my opinion.
It is sort of strange that was a placeholder when it's a perfect line. That's one of those Hollywood things that were like, there's a ton of movies where some of the best stuff to come out of them, they didn't realize I mean, like, you know the song Creep by Radiohead?
Yeah. Like I wish I was special.
You are.
But I'm a creep. I don't belong.
You're getting Blake's rendition, but you know, they hate that song. Radiohead fucking hates that song. And they said that they wrote it as like one of the most pandering to audiences type of songs that you could make.
Y'all should pander to audiences more often.
One of their most famous. And then moving forward a little on some of these behind the scenes, that 2017 poll where it said that this was the #1 comedy of all time.
Maybe if you've only seen comedies that were made before 19.
And then in 2001, critics voted this the #1 comedy of all time. I think that is a preposterous take.
I am biased because of my favorite genre movies. I can name 20 comedies filmed in the 2000s alone that are better than this movie.
I don't know if I can name 20, but Off the Dome.
I mean, Off the Dome, and these are closer to
Will Ferrell has ever done. Is funnier than Talladega Nights.
Well, I'll give you a C. Will Ferrell movie. Blades of Glory is funnier than this movie.
Yeah, I think it's a worse movie than this one, but it is a funnier. It's got more jokes per minute. It's like a Family Guy episode. Like that one's a shittier movie, but is funnier per minute.
We'll go off. Elf is a better movie than this.
Step Brothers, Talladega Nights,
Anchorman.
The other guys might be like in my top 3 comedies of all time. So that's
fucking Stanley Pro above this.
Yeah, I mean, just like the 2000s run of comedies, I feel like makes this movie.
The amount of misses this movie has, if this was a modern movie, I would hope that critics would roast it for the amount of misses.
I mean, I think it would.
It is at best a 50% shooter on jokes.
Yeah, at now, like in current time, it just would not work.
The amount of jokes that are, and people will criticize modern movies for this all the time. The amount of jokes in this movie that are only funny if you are in your 20s in the time period it was released. So many.
So if you're in your 20s, then you'd be 90, 100
80 to
years old
90.
now. Yeah. So if you're presently 100 years old, this movie will be fucking hilarious.
I mean, this movie will be the bee's knees. So to keep going, Joe, who ended up being played by Tony Curtis, that was originally supposed to be Anthony Perkins, better known as Norman Bates in Psycho. Anthony Perkins lost out on the role because of his quote unquote ambiguous sexuality. He was just a gay guy. And the studio thought that him being in women's clothing would undermine his image as a teen idol. They also planted false stories about him being a ladies' man, where he was literally just dating another one of the studio's teen idols at the time. And then Frank Sinatra was supposed to be Jerry, but he just no-showed a lunch with the director. I personally cannot imagine Frank Sinatra in this role.
I think it would work because Frank Sinatra is such like an iconic man,
Yeah.
like guy's guy
He's a
from that
man's
time
man.
period, that like having him in drag, like it could be funny as a bit.
The fact these guys were B-level, B-list guys,
works.
it makes it work.
Because Frank Sinatra
Like
doing
this is now their
Frank
signature role.
Sinatra dressing in drag would be like a great SNL bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like have him do something you wouldn't expect for like 5 minutes. Like that would be very.
Elvis doing that too.
But like for a full movie, it would become too much of like a meta
Movie
thing
is-
where like it's Frank Sinatra, so it messes with like the continuity of the movie. Whereas like having two actors that even at that time weren't, A-list, were they? I mean, as far as I know, they weren't like the peak.
From what I've seen, like Tony Curtis was like lower A-list, and then Jack Lemmon was starting to just elevate into movies from TV. Like he was a TV actor for like
So we're still talking people that like when they made this jump, like
they were like known actors, but like the best comp is like this is like Benedict Cumberbatch and like Cumberbatch and like Craig Robinson making a movie.
Okay, those are two very differently. Benedict
I'm
Cumberbatch
saying,
is
like,
like one of
fame
the
level.
most famous people.
I'm saying like fame level. And like Benedict Cumberbatch before Doctor Strange.
Still one
Before Sherlock.
Okay. Then he's basically.
Yeah, so he's like the Jack Lemmon and Craig Robinson, where it's like he's a known guy, but he's not.
All right. Well, let's just get into before we should wrap this up because we're a little over time here. But if you've stuck in this long in the podcast, respect to you because we're well over 2 hours at this point. I think all of the things that you could remember of Marilyn Monroe being an absolute cunt to work with on set.
So yeah, she took 80 takes to film the joke of her saying, "Where's the bourbon?"
That was the one that took 80 takes?
Yes.
I thought that, it was still like 50 or something in my mind, but all she had to say was, "Where's the bourbon?" and grab the colostomy bag and start drinking out of it. That took 80 takes because she couldn't remember the line.
Yeah.
Like, bro, there's people with TBIs that could remember that line.
Barbiturates are a hell of a drug.
Apparently. I mean, holy shit.
So she wasn't invited to the watch party because of how badly she behaved and how much money she cost the production. Another thing where it's like, oh, 50s are so funny. Spats was based on Al Capone and Little Bonaparte was based on Mussolini, which was a huge hit with audiences. Marilyn Monroe wanted it to be in color, but they had to shoot in black and white because Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon's makeup gave their face green tints.
And also
could have just used different makeup.
Well, it's the 50s.
Yeah, they had. Do you think white women walked around looking green?
There should have been some black women in this movie.
Well, yeah, but like I'm saying, the makeup existed. They could have easily done that. Like, it's not like white women walked around looking green all the time.
Anyways, there was also a drag queen hired to train Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon, who quit within days out of disgust by how bad they both were.
It's just so funny, like being a guy who's that offended that. I mean, if we look back in the modern era, they'd probably be a trans woman. at the time it was just a drag performer, but still, like, to be a trans woman and be so disgusted at men's inability to act like a woman that you leave the set is kind of insane. Like, they flew him out from France, dude. Guy was getting paid like probably a couple grand to just teach these dudes how to walk with their hips moving, and he still quit because he couldn't deal with it.
I mean, Tony Curtis is probably a homosexual.
A gay man.
Yeah.
You think just Tony Curtis? Is he the one with the little scarf and the hands in all the interviews?
The one who
Okay, yeah, 100%. I mean,
Jack Lemmon just looked like an old guy.
I guess, but like I haven't
He
seen.
also was like, "Oh, this is so silly." Tony Curtis was like, no, like scared.
I haven't seen the other guy's interviews, but
He was the guy who's like was side splittingly hilarious.
but like the Josephine guy was very clear, right? That was the the Josephine guy was very clearly, all of his interviews were like, oh my god. And then I got to wear heels.
Yeah, I got to put the fighter pilot bag to pee in my uniform.
Yeah, and again, like, it didn't come off as like he wants to be a woman. It came off as like he fucking loved doing all of this flamboyant shit. And I mean, good for him. If ideally in the 50s, he would have been able to just roll with it instead of it being a whole thing. But here we are.
So just to wrap up the behind the scenes, Marilyn Monroe was banned from the watch party. We covered that. The first preview had such an awful audience reaction, and so many people walked out that they purposely marketed it toward UCLA
as a minor film picture, and not a major motion picture.
Because that was a hilarious knee slapper, and it went over super well, and Billy Wilder stood by his decision to make no major changes to the film. Moving on, we're going to get to some segments now. The boys are going crazy on these because I think for both of us, would you chill with the lead, at least for me? A resounding no.
I am also a no. I think that neither one would be like fun to have around the bonfire. They seem like a couple of ridiculous boys. Also, we're a little past it, but I just wanted to add in real quick the trailer for this movie saying, not have you seen this much comedy, this much whatever. Also, Marilyn Monroe and her bosom companions. Dude, bosom companions as part of a major release trailer is fucking great. Like, imagine seeing a trailer for Euphoria that's like, and in this season we have Sydney Sweeney and her bosom companions.
I mean,
all right, so Foxiest lady for this movie. I mean, it's not even.
Wait, let me elaborate on why we can't chill the leads.
Okay.
So, first of all, a gay couple bickering sounds like a nightmare chilling scenario.
Yeah,
But besides that, these guys are supposed to be con men. They cannot successfully do a single fucking scheme in the entire movie. I would hate that.
Yeah, I mean, they fumble the bag at like every single turn.
The only reason they aren't like killed on the spot is because Spats is more incompetent than that.
Yeah. And then we got, all right, so obviously we wouldn't chill with them. Foxiest lady, Marilyn Monroe. I don't think you're gonna give me any pushback on that one. Like,
I mean, it wasn't Sweet Sue. Marilyn Monroe in this movie is a revelation. I genuinely, and I will not say this. We've watched now. I think this is our 4th episode. The other 3 movies, there are some very attractive women in. This is the only movie to date, and one of the only movies where I have literally had trouble paying attention to the actual story elements of the scene because of a character. Marilyn Monroe is just on a different level. She, like, the way she dresses and acts, she is 2 to 3 decades ahead of everyone else in the movie, and it's just undeniable. Like, she was the box office draw.
How many of her quotes in this movie can you remember?
Like 2, maybe.
Like, name the ones that you can remember occurring.
I mean, her saying that she loves guys with glasses.
Okay,
and then her saying I'm a dumb blonde.
Well, she said, "I'm not very bright."
Not very bright.
Is that it?
Her saying, "What if I did this?" and just making out with the guy.
So this is a woman who had probably 75 plus lines in this movie, just as a testament to how distracting her face and personalities were. Is that Blake here could remember exactly 2 of those 75 lines?
I mean, the goat of the 50s. If I was making a movie, she'd be the. I don't give a fuck how difficult she is on set. She is the first person I'm casting in any movie with the 50s. If you want to make money, you cast Marilyn Monroe.
That's true. Ooh, God damn. Let's get into these top 3 side characters. Classic segment for this pod. My number 3, as usual, we go 3-1. My number 3, Beanstalk. I think I loved him with his glasses. I loved him asking if we're there yet in Florida. He might have been a little whipped by Sweet Sue, but he seemed like a chill guy. He was just out there for the vibes, making his wife happy. I assume Sweet Sue was his wife. Like, dude was just having a good time, quite frankly, and he never seemed like he was having a bad time in this movie.
So Beanstalk was my number 2. The only thing I will add to that is that I think a lot of the girls were there to try to get a husband. I think Sweet Sue might have liked a few of the girls. I think Beanstalk was just there because he just loved the game. He loves jazz. Yeah, and he wants to see jazz performed well.
Sue have curated a thing. And
they've curated the vibe that is important.
He's the money man, clearly.
This is the man who's a master.
So that's your number 2. Who's your number 3?
So number 3 is Little Bonaparte. I mean, the fact that it is almost 1960 at this point and we're still doing racist Italian caricatures, to me, is very funny, and just simply for the fact that even for the time it was outdated, which is saying a lot considering what was considered.
Oh yeah, because that was like 15 plus years later after World War II.
That, considering it was appropriate to do a Mussolini impression at the time, is bananas. And then also just the way that, like, anytime Spats or anyone else says anything, this guy's eyes like bulge out of the screen. Oh, yeah. Like, that's very
now that you've brought up the Mussolini comparison, I didn't think about it. I just thought of him as comically Italian, but like the balding head and the like it was.
It's like a Dwight speech in The Office.
Yeah, like that. Yeah. That's actually pretty good. I thought if he had a few more lines, he would have made my list. So that was we've covered your number 3, Bonaparte. Number 2, Beanstalk. My number 3. My number 2 has got to go to Osgood. I mean, he close contention for number 1. Osgood is just such a funny character. Like, he gets his little redemption at the end, where he's a very understanding guy. I mean, Daphne or Josephine.
I think Osgood is also gay.
Josephine reveals that he's a man, and he's like, "That's all right. Well, I smoke. That's all right." Like, he's just a chill dude who's got a yacht and wants to introduce his mom to his new male lady friend. Like, he started off as kind of a skeevy little creep, but as the movie went on, it turns out he's kind of a sweetheart.
Osgood invented lady boys.
Yeah, he's the first guy to hop on the trend.
Oh yeah. So my number 1, and I think you have the same number 1, is Big Nose.
Oh, Big Nose, easily.
I mean, just the Andre the Giant voice, just looking comically ugly, and then his kind of the lines per laugh ratio for this character is probably the.
And I don't even think most of them were on purpose.
No, that's why it's so good.
It's just the fact that everything he said felt like Andre the Giant if he was recently hit in the head with a pole. Was so good. And also, if you make Andre the Giant look attractive, something's wrong with your face. Like, that was not a great looking guy, and he still looks better than Big Nose did in this movie.
I don't know what developmental disorder Big Nose had, or what alcohol his mom drank when she was pregnant with him, but
probably a lot of Manhattans based on this movie.
Something went wrong in that process. I mean, Big Nose is a guy where they didn't even name the character, and he will instantly stick with me. So, I mean, that's a clear.
Did we even get? Did you see anything about him, like what he looks like today, or?
Well, he died in 19.
What he looked like interviews from the 80s or something. Like
he pretty much has always looked like that. That's just what his.
I just have to imagine that as he got older,
I mean,
he had to have gotten funnier looking. Because like, imagine his face but wrinkly. Like, dude, that's like he's the pug of humans. Like,
he worked until his death as well. So
beast.
like 50-year career.
Imagine the balls on that guy to have that face and that voice and be in like some of the most popular movies of all time.
He was in Spartacus too.
I mean, he's the one?
No, he was the leader of Phoenician soldiers.
Oh, he wasn't the one that the guy that made out with. Yeah.
But anyway, moving on from there. Best quote. I actually think we have the same quote here, which is simply, "I'm a man. Well, nobody's perfect."
I mean, that final line is just not only so iconic, but also hilarious, regardless of when you watch the movie. Like, I'm sure there's some people much further left than we are that would be offended by that being a joke. But it was just so good, and the way that, and the fact that Osgood delivers it, like he's so happy, like he literally just does it. He's like, "Well, nobody's perfect." It just keeps going, like he like that. That's why I love Osgood. Honestly, if I could go back, I would change my ratings. I'm gonna keep him as they are right now, but Osgood is basically tied for first. Dude is just such a chiller.
Big Nose got that thumbnail though.
The big nose for sure gets the thumbnail.
I will say the honorable mention for quote is why would a guy want to marry a guy? Security. I will say, dude. I mean, I could never do that shit because I love them bitches too much. But I will say, I've seen very few people as stress free as the gay guys because they just fuck constantly and they don't have to worry about pregnancies. They take a couple doses of PrEP a year and they're big chillin'. So that's good stuff.
Not worrying about pregnancy and having Grindr, which is basically just send a message if you want to smash. Like that, what a lifestyle to be able to live on a reliable basis. I mean, that's playing life on easy mode.
I mean, if I didn't feel repulsed by the idea of a man being naked around me, this would be a great setup.
Yeah. Off-screen MVP. Let's talk.
So I have Rory Kelly, who actually won an Oscar for this movie. He was in charge of the gowns for the drag queens and Marilyn Monroe. And there was actually a point where he was fitting all of them. And he was like, "Hey, Marilyn, like, I think Tony Curtis is, like, joking around. Like, I think Tony Curtis is a better ass than you." And she's like, "Yeah." And then she just rips open her shirt. And she's like, "I have better tits than him." And we've looked at some photos of Rory Kelly.
I'll try and put one in while we're talking about this.
He looks. I've never seen someone more clearly look like a man.
He looks like the Penguin. Like he looks like he could play the Penguin in a Batman movie, and with no makeup, and everyone would buy it immediately.
He somehow looks worse than Danny DeVito.
Flat, creepy face, like made all these dresses where it's basically just pasties on her nip.
Trying not to grope Marilyn Monroe and like struggling not to.
Yeah, that's your off-screen MVP, by the way, is the number one Penguin rapist of this kid. Is it just because of the dresses he put her in, where her personalities were probably
for the 50s?
Yeah, I mean, I guess got to give him some credit for that. My off-screen MVP is kind of tangentially related. The director, Billy Wilder, just because he managed to get one of the greatest movies ever made created while dealing with Marilyn Monroe, who was just an unbearable twat on the like just almost. Okay, we know you'd smash. I'm saying, like, as a man trying to create a film, and you have an actor who can't remember a single fucking sentence.
Barbiturates.
Like 80 takes. Like, I gotta give my respect to him. I don't know how you do that. He's got to get some credit on there, but luckily that's not a thumbnail discussion, so we can agree to disagree. On the too long, too short, just right, I have a feeling we have a similar outtake. I think there was no scene that felt extraneous.
The bellhop probably could have been
okay, but that would have been like 20 seconds. 60 to 20 seconds of the movie. I feel like just
that there. Yeah, I would not have cut 5+ minutes of the movie even. I would cut like maybe 60 seconds. So
all right, well, let's get into our final ratings. So
well, before we get to that, we got to get to our specific.
Oh, that's true. I wrote one down here. which is, would you go to the lengths that these guys did, mainly Daphne, I think, ended up, no, Josephine, dressing in drag, avoiding the mobster, getting shot at, mostly the dressing in drag and pretending to be a woman for several weeks. Would you go through those lengths if it meant that you got to bang Marilyn Monroe at the end?
She my girl.
Yep. Not even a second thought. Especially for this time, I am being the hottest girl that will exist for 20 years.
Minimum. I mean, after seeing this, I'd say one of all time.
Like if Marilyn, there are so few. If Tony Curtis and Jack Lemmon were around today, they would be B to C list actors at best.
Yeah.
Tony Curtis would be the supportive gay best friend.
Yeah.
And so would Jack Lemmon. If Marilyn Monroe was around today, she would want to be one of the biggest actors.
I mean, Sydney Sweeney wouldn't even have a career standing next to Marilyn.
They would scissor in a movie and would make $2 billion.
That'd be the first $2 billion movie.
It would make $2 billion.
Just her and Marilyn Monroe.
I mean,
playing rock paper scissors with their bodies. Would you? How many times would you see that movie in the theater?
4.
Okay. Moving on from that, because this is not a Gooner podcast. At what point would you have been blown your cover in this scheme of the drag guys?
I think as soon as Marilyn Monroe got into the bunk bed with me, that would have been it. Like I would not have.
I would have been close at that point. When 12 women got in the bunk bed with me, we would have busted on the spot. We would have been in trouble.
You would have busted it. You would have came in your pants.
Well, I can't do that, but I would have probably
can't come.
Well, I can, but I'm not from not touching.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying I can't do that.
No.
Yeah, I mean, once the 12 got in the bed, now it's back into like playing my part. You know what I mean? But like when it was just her, basically grinding up on him, like I can't believe he didn't throw in the bag right then and there. Like I feel he already had the in. You know what I mean? He covered for her with the alcohol thing. He could have just been like, "Hey, by the way, like happy to cover for you. I'm actually undercover as a guy."
They were actually gonna put that as a movie where he's like telling her like, "Oh, I'm actually a guy," and then they were gonna have it be so it's the other guy who finds that out. Like he's spilling the beans who he thinks is Marilyn Monroe, but it's actually Jack Lemmon or Tony Curtis.
It was like a completely different plot line.
Yeah, but they decided to.
Yeah, that was probably a wise decision.
The other thing I'll say, this isn't really a question, but actually this is a question before the.
Who's more believable?
Yeah.
Josephine or Daphne?
I actually would say
I don't. Which is the one that did the pursed lips thing? Like the whole time, the one who was nervous about being.
That's Josephine.
Josephine was by far. I mean, Daphne just straight. The one who ends up with Osgood is Daphne, right? Daphne just straight up looked like a man. Like,
she is.
Well, correct. But I'm saying like Daphne just straight up looked and more or less acted like a man, but like a very gay man. Josephine, like, she could pull off actually just being a woman.
I mean, I agree with that. Again, if I did see both these guys in real life, I would just be like, oh, here's two sassy gays.
Yeah.
They were not believable as women whatsoever. And then this isn't a question, but I did want to read this out. Okay. These are actual movies that Tony Curtis started in the 50s. Actual titles. I Was a Shoplifter, Flesh and Fury.
Oh, yeah.
Beachhead, which sounds like a racial slur. Johnny Dark.
Beachhead just sounds like a porn.
Johnny Dark is definitely.
That sounds like a porn name.
The Square Jungle, which not sure what they were going for there. The Rawhide Years, which sounds like a gay porn. And Operation Petticoat, which sounds like another.
What is a petticoat?
Not sure.
It's like a peacoat? Like a shorter.
I think it was like a woman's undergarment.
Really?
It was like above a bra.
Above a bra? What's above a bra?
No, like they would put it above.
Like above or on top of?
On top.
So it's like a second bra on your bra?
Yeah, it's like a slim garment. I don't know.
Like a corset or like
Kind of, but for your tits, because they love flat chested women in the 50s because they were fucking idiots.
yeah, that's true. They were in the 70s, dude. The 70s they were big on the heroin chic. That's what they called it. Ladies who were like flat as a board.
Yeah, let's get women who look like they're about to overdose on hard drugs who have no tits. That's fucking awesome. Fucking kill yourself.
Yeah, they were like, what if your ideal woman looked like she hadn't ate in 20 days? It's like, no, that also recently injected heroin into her cooch. Like that was the peak of the 1970s, dude.
I hate that.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like Marilyn Monroe in the 70s and 80s was considered like fat, which is just crazy. Like
That's embarrassing.
she's got some meat on her bones, but like a regular human, like a very attractive regular human. In the 70s, they were like, no, you have to look like an actual skeleton who's about to die.
I
love my thick girls. And what I also love is see my movie rating. And I will give this movie an 8 out of 10. I think that for the time, there were so many things it did that went well past what would have been take another shot. What would have been expected for comedy. I mean, I think Marilyn Monroe just completely stole the show. As much of a nightmare as she probably was on set, like just watching her in the movie, like she is thoroughly enthralling. There are a lot of funny lines. I mean, the nobody's perfect is an all-time.
I mean, yeah, that last scene is in my Hall of Fame of comedy and like scenes in general.
For comedy endings, this might be the one.
Yeah, for sure.
It might be the one. And I mean, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, I wasn't like thrilled with them, but I did think they both held their own as leads in the movie. The reason why it's an 8 and not higher, as I said, many of the jokes do not land, and I honestly would probably rate it lower if there weren't so many unintentionally hilarious moments.
And if it is very well made.
Yeah.
Like I'll say, like the direction is clean, the performances are all good, the editing is great.
For the 50s,
To have the back and forth between like the yacht scene
going on seamlessly, like that was great.
That's like 20 plus years.
So I gave this one a 7.5. Very close. I just say basically again, I'm not going to split hairs over a 0.5 difference in rating. We're basically on the same page.
I could say.
But at the end of the day, like I gave it a 7.5. I think a final score of 7.75, like that's
pretty reasonable.
That's very, if anything, generous for this movie, because if we were to put this up against other comedies that we like,
if it was made in 2026, it would be significant.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking like off the dome, some of the comedies that are barely even cracking my top 15 would.
Where's My Car is above this in my ranking.
I don't know if I would go that far, but I would put like, I don't know, like lower level comedies that I'm not as enthused about. Yeah, like Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay.
Yes.
Not even the first one, the second one.
Yes.
Even that movie, I feel like gets more laughs out of me than this one does, but it's made shittier. So I feel like they even out. Whereas this one has fewer laughs, better made. That one's worse made, more laughs.
Also, this movie was nominated for
6 Oscars,
which is bananas.
I don't know what those 6 noms were.
Director.
For sure, and he won one of them at least, I think.
The guy I mentioned for wardrobe.
He won best costuming for this movie?
Yes.
That is so funny. Like, think about today, like, you win best costuming by just putting Sydney Sweeney in pasties instead of, like, a movie that does, like, full fantastical, like a Marvel movie where they have all these dope costumes.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally just a guy who's like, what if I made Marilyn Monroe's tits visible the whole time? And they're like, Oscar right there, dude. Oscar.
But anyway, to wrap it up, I'm Matt Grayson. I'm Blake Hammer. This is Matt Grayson. That's a review of Some Like It Hot. Next week, we're coming even harder. We're departing from this movie because we're reviewing
The Departed.
And the boys will be back next week. Slightly less smashed, but virtual again because we do not live in the same states.
Yeah.
Stay smashed, gang. Have a fucking day. Much love to everyone who watches this. that is our review of the Some Like It Hot movie on this Smash Cut podcast.
Hell yeah, brother.